My client thought he was having a friendly conversation. The officer was smiling, leaning casually against the car, asking about his day. 15 minutes later, my client was face down on the pavement, handcuffed, charged with resisting arrest. But he was so nice, my client kept saying. He was smiling the whole time. That smile, it wasn't friendliness, it was a tactic. And it's one of the most dangerous weapons in an officer's psychological toolkit because it disarms you completely. I'm about to show you something no other lawyer talks about: the psychology behind why officers smile during traffic stops, what they're actually doing when they seem friendly, and the 5 words that break the entire manipulation pattern. This isn't about being rude. This is about understanding a game you didn't know you were playing. The psychology reveal. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone in a position of power over you, your boss, a tax auditor, a judge, smiled at you while they were evaluating whether to punish you? It doesn't happen because real authority doesn't need to perform friendliness. But during traffic stops, officers smile constantly, and there's a specific reason why. Police academies teach something called verbal judo and de-escalation through rapport. Sounds positive, right? It is when the goal is actually de-escalation. But there's a darker application of the same technique. When an officer smiles at you during a traffic stop, they're not being friendly. They're lowering your defenses. They're creating a psychological environment where you feel safe enough to talk, to explain, to volunteer information you would never give to someone with a stern face demanding answers. Before we go deeper into this, if you want to understand the psychological tactics police use during stops, not just the legal ones, subscribe right now. I break down the reality of traffic stops that most lawyers won't tell you about because it's uncomfortable. Hit subscribe and the notification bell. Now, let me show you how this manipulation actually works. Real case example. I had a client named Marcus, mid-30s, software engineer, never had a serious traffic violation in his life. He gets pulled over for going 8 over the speed limit on the highway. The officer walks up, a big smile. "Hey man, how's your night going?" Marcus, relieved the officer seems cool, says good, just heading home from a friend's place. Officer, still smiling. Nice. What were you guys up to?" Marcus, "Just watching the game, having a few beers." The officer's smile gets even bigger. "Oh yeah? How many beers are we talking about?" You see what happened there? Marcus just admitted to potentially drinking and driving. Not because the officer was aggressive, not because he was intimidated, because the officer smiled. That smile made Marcus think this was a conversation between 2 guys, but it wasn't. It was an interrogation disguised as small talk. The officer's next words, "I'm going to need you to step out of the vehicle for some field sobriety tests." Marcus tried to explain, "But I only had 2 beers, like 3 hours ago." The officer's smile vanished. "Sir, you just admitted to drinking and driving. Step out of the vehicle now." Marcus hesitated for 2 seconds, confused by the sudden shift. That hesitation became resisting arrest in the police report. The 5 words revealed. So here are the 5 words you say when an officer starts smiling and asking friendly questions. Am I free to leave? Not confrontational, not rude. Just 5 words that reset the entire encounter. But here's what makes this different from every other legal advice video you've watched. It's not just about saying the words, it's about understanding why they work psychologically, not just legally. When you ask, "Am I free to leave?" you're doing something most people never do during a traffic stop. You're breaking the social script. Let me explain what I mean. The psychology deep dive. Why this works differently. Humans are hardwired to follow social scripts. When someone smiles at us, we smile back. When someone asks us a friendly question, we give a friendly answer. It's automatic. It's subconscious. And police training exploits this. But "am I free to leave" isn't part of the friendly conversation script. It's a record scratch moment. It says, "I recognize this isn't actually a friendly conversation, and I'm not playing along." Here's what happens in the officer's mind when you ask this. First, you've just demonstrated you understand your rights. That means you're a higher risk for the officer. You might know other rights too. You might have a lawyer. You might cause problems if they violate procedure. Second, you've forced them to make a legal decision, not a social one. They can't just keep smiling and chatting. They have to either say, "Yes, you're free to go," or "No, you're being detained." And if they say you're detained, they need a legal reason. Third, you've documented on their body camera that you asked this question. If they keep questioning you after you've asked if you're free to leave, your lawyer can argue they illegally prolonged the stop. But here's the part nobody tells you, and this is critical. It's not just what you say, it's when you say it. The timing, when to deploy. The smile usually comes in one of three moments. Moment one, right at the beginning. The officer walks up with a big smile. "Hey, how are you doing tonight?" This is the rapport building phase. They want you to relax. Don't ask, "Am I free to leave?" Yet you obviously aren't. Just hand over your license and registration and stay quiet. Moment two, after they come back from running your information. This is the critical moment. They've checked everything. They've decided whether to give you a ticket or a warning. If they come back and instead of handing you your documents and a ticket, they start with friendly questions, "So where are you headed? Long day?" That's when you ask, "Am I free to leave?" Moment three, after they've given you the ticket. They hand you the ticket, but they don't walk away. They lean on your car, smile, start chatting. "You know, I noticed your car smells a little funny." Or, "You seem nervous? Everything okay?" That's a fishing expedition. Time to ask, "Am I free to leave?" The key is recognizing when the traffic stop business is done and the investigation is starting. That transition is when you deploy the 5 words. If you're realizing right now that you've been manipulated during traffic stops without knowing it, hit that subscribe button. I'm showing you the psychological game behind traffic law, not just the legal technicalities. Turn on notifications because the next video reveals what officers are actually writing in their reports while they're smiling at you and it's not what you think. What happens next? The 2 responses. When you ask, "Am I free to leave?" the officer will respond in one of 2 ways. Response 1, the smile drops. The friendly mask comes off. They might say something like, "Why are you being difficult?" or "I'm just trying to have a conversation here." This confirms it was manipulation. A real friendly conversation doesn't get hostile when you try to leave it. Stay calm. Repeat, "I understand, officer. Am I free to leave?" Don't explain, don't apologize, don't justify, just repeat the question. Response 2, they let you go. Often, once you've demonstrated you're not playing the friendly game, they realize the fishing expedition won't work and they let you drive away. The smile was only there as long as you were cooperative. Once you're clearly not, there's no point continuing. Either way, you've protected yourself. If they were fishing, you shut it down. If they had a legitimate reason to detain you further, they'll have to articulate it on camera. The uncomfortable truth. Here's what bothers me as a lawyer. I've watched hundreds of hours of body camera footage. You know when officers stop smiling the second before they arrest someone, the second before they use force, the second before things turn serious. The smile isn't there during the serious parts. It's only there during the manipulation parts. I'm not saying all officers do this intentionally. Many are genuinely trying to de-escalate, but the tactic is taught, it's used, and it works on most people because most people don't recognize it for what it is. That's why these 5 words matter. Not because they're magic, but because they break the psychological pattern that makes you vulnerable. If this changes how you see police interactions during traffic stops, subscribe to this this channel. I reveal the psychology and the law behind these encounters, the stuff most legal channels won't touch because it's too real. Hit the bell icon. This is educational content, not legal advice. Every situation is different. For specific guidance, always consult a licensed attorney in your state. Nothing here creates an attorney-client relationship. The 5 words, "Am I free to leave?" Say them when the traffic stop business is done, but the officer keeps talking. Don't be aggressive, don't be rude, just be clear. Because a smile during a traffic stop isn't friendliness, it's a strategy. And now you know how to counter it. The psychological recap. Final thought. Trust isn't about whether someone smiles at you. Trust is about whether they're honest about the power dynamic between you. An officer has the power to arrest you. When they pretend that power doesn't exist by being your friend, that's when you need to be most careful. "Am I free to leave?" reminds everyone, including you, what's really happening. The video on screen shows you what to say when officers ask, "Do you know why I stopped you?" Another psychological trap question. Watch it next. Stay aware, stay protected, stay free.